Good morning everyone, my name is Kirby Katipay and I'm here to discuss the module 2. So next slide. So lesson 2. This topic is discuss about the history, philosophy, objectives of imprisonment and the development of imprisonment. Sing Sing Prison, Auburn System, Pennsylvania System, the 5 development of prisoners, forms of punishment, and many more that will discuss later on my report. So next slide. So Sing Sing Prison. What is Sing Sing Prison? So Sing Sing Prison that will be found in the Hudson River at Ossining, New York. Originally known as Mount Pleasant Prison, it was constructed in the village of Sing Sing on the east bank of the Hudson River. It was designed to provide additional prison space to replace the Newgate prison, and construction was undertaken in 1825 by convict laborers. So the inmate will be the one to construct the Sing Sing prison. So under the supervision of Elam Lines, warden of Auburn State Prison, he officially became the head of the new prison when it opened in 1826. So next slide. So the Sing Sing prisons have different programs. So first is the alcohol and substance abuse treatment programs, anger management programs that will be found inside the imprisonment. So alcohol and substance abuse treatment, these programs will help the inmates to avoid their or the forget their vices, or to avoid their addiction in that certain substance or alcohol. So anger management program that also be found inside the imprisonment. So these programs helps inmates to manage or to control their self, to have their self control. So next slide. So next is the educational vocational programs, family development program. So these programs helps the inmates to continue their education inside the imprisonment, or those individual want to pursue their study. The imprisonment provides the education. Then in times of the rehabilitation, so there are also vocational programs to develop their skills that can help them to in the near future if they back to the society. And that is one of the one of purpose of that vocational program is to help them to find income inside the imprisonment. So family development programs. So one of the factor of the inmates that they do wrong because of the family problems, or any family involves. So family developments helps the inmates to guide them, because family is one of the guidance in our individual or in ourselves. So next slide. So guidance and counseling services, library and law library services. So guidance and counseling services, this will help the inmates to to realize their wrongdoings outside outside the world, or outside the society. So uh, example of that is the Sing Sing prisons provide activities that helps our prisoners to foc to focus, or to mm, focus, or so to focus their mind, or to focus their individual perspective, and to change, or to era- to to change their at, attitude, or to change their perspectives, that in the end they will realize the bad doings they do outside the world. So next is library and law library services. This is also a program that offered inside the Sing Sing prison. So this will focus about the individual rights of our prisoners. So for example, here in the Philippines, so our pres our government provide PAW to our offender, to fight their rights, and to justify their side, and then to also also to give their opinion in that certain case. So next slide. So recreational programs and religious services. So recreational program, this will be the activities that help our prisoners to change, or to repaint their individuality. So for example of this is the sports, or any 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 activities can help can help the prisoners, or any activities that can be can be can be uh can be stepping stones to their change. So region religious services, this will be the church, or any wala naman. So religious services, so our prisoners also have rights to express their religious beliefs. So so for example of that is there is individual, or religious organization will be invited inside the imprisonment to conduct prayer meeting, masses, or any religious activity. And for the purpose of that is to enlighten our prisoner or inmate for what did do, or for realize, to give realization, for them to realize the bad doings they do outside the society. So next slide. So six offender treatment programs, temporary release programs. So six offender treatment programs, they will be intended for the case of rape, or any sexual abuse that that they do outside the world, or in the society. So this program will educate the prisoners, or the inmates, to what will be the possible thing that happen if they commit that certain thing, that certain crime. What will be the outcome of the individuals that they do that to them. So six offender treatment program, this is also helps the prisoners or the inmates to realize that doings are not good, and it will cause depression to their victim. So temporary release programs. So for the best example of this is if they will given a chance, or release they will give in parole, and the inmate is will observe how will the government in the several period of time, the prisoner will be observed, and for the purpose to secure or to ensure that the inmate or that individual will be totally changed or totally rehabilitated for the security in of our society. So next slide. So the Sing Sing Prison trauma program, transitional service program. So trauma program, so this will be involve the mental illness or depression. So one of the factor that people do that certain crime, or people do that certain crime is the trauma or the depression. One what that is a serious problem, or a serious or a mental illness of the individual, that he don't he can't focus, or he can he can think he can think correctly, or he can mm, he's he can think normally. So these programs help to identify the problems of our inmates, for them to given a treatment, specific treatment, to change their individuals or their self. So transitional services programs. So this will be the programs will that will monitor the changes, or to monitor the changes of our inmates, of are the improvement of the what are the improvement what are the improvement in rehabilitating or inside the prisonment. So next is the veteran services, volunteer services and programs. So veteran services, this will be the individuals who will participate the World War, or the survivor of the World War. So they will give they will give honor, or mm, they will give mm, they, they will give benefits to this individual. So volunteer services and programs. So this will be the programs that individuals will volunteer themselves, for them to help the prisoners inside the prison, and to help the inmates to change, or that they will be the role model of our prisoners. So next slide. So So the Sing Sing prison. So Sing Sing involves Sing Sing Correctional Facility. So maximum security prison located in Ossining, New York. So in use since 1826. So the construction of this is started in 1825 from at it will be constructed or the convicted individuals, or in short convicted laborer. So it is one of the oldest penal institution in the United States. It is also among the most well known in the country, especially notable for a harsh condition in the 18th and 20th century. So the Sing Sing prison is one of the oldest imprisonment that helps the Newgate prison, because Newgate prison have overcrowded. So some of the prisoners will be moved to the Sing Sing prison. So it is under the supervision of Ellen Lanes, so the warden of Odern. So from 1826, Ellen Lanes were the supervisor, or he was the leader in the Sing Sing prison. So next slide. So the Sing Sing prison, originally known as Mount Pleasant Prison, it was constructed in the village of Sing Sing on the east bank on the Hudson River in New York. So the purpose of this is to reduce the overcrowding prisonment in the Newgate prison, and it will operated in 1826 under the supervision of Elan Lanes. So next slide. So Sing Sing prison, the prison population rose in the mid 19th century, resulting in more construction. The four-story complex was sown 6 stories, and the prison eventually housed more than 1,600 inmates. So this is the detail of the prisonment. So it was 1,600 rooms for inmates, and in before I forgot, so Sing Sing prison, well, also known for the harass for the what's the words? For the harass. So Sing Sing prison, well known in the country, especially in the notable for its harsh conditions in the 18th and 20th century. So Sing Sing prison will be known because of their execution and the punishment inside the imprisonment, that every prisoners will be silent in the night. So next slide. So this will be the image, or the picture of the Sing Sing prison. So next. So the Sing Sing prison is one of the notable visitor of the prison was Alexis de Tocqueville, author of the Democracy in America. So he was the French government sent him the French government sent him at Gustavia de Bueno to the United States in 1831 to gather information about this American penal system. The two men were amazed at the total subjugation under which prisoners were at the administrative power the warden wielded at Sing Sing. So the that Alexei so Alexis will impress the imprisonment because of the cycle of punishment or cycle of programs that will help the inmates to change or totally rehabilitate. So next slide. So next slide. So this also the one of the punishment or the common punishment of the Sing Sing. So whippings and floggings were commonly punishment at Sing Sing. Frequently used was the nine cut or nine tails. So a cruel whipping in contraption whose lashes were open tape with metal or barbs. So whipping is all about beating the prison using a thing as a punishment. For the violators inside the prison, the thing that was used is the cat or nine tail. So it is a type of multi-tailed fail that is originated as severe physical punishment. So it was finally abolished by the New York State legislature in 1848. So next slide. So next is in addition, Waylands was warden, so inmates were expected to refrain from making noise, which included talking with the advent of the electric chair in 1891. So Sing Sing became notorious for its execution. So one of the punishment in the Sing Sing prison while under the supervision of Lenz. So if you violate the rule like making noise, well, the charges of that is the electric chair. So, or in short, one of their punishment. So this will be known in 1891 becomes Sing Sing was the notorious for their punishment and the execution. So next slide. So next slide. So during the supervision of Thomas Osborne, so the Sing Sing prison will reform. So Sing Sing was also the site of reforms that affected the national penal system, and who Thomas Osborne developed his penology theories while voluntarily incarcerated for the year at the Auburn served as Sing Sing warden in 1814 to 1815. 1914 to 1915 and 1916. So during his supervision, the Sing Sing, there are several punishment will change like no the electric chair or the nine cat nine cat the nine cat tail. So then but some of the reason political pressure or political pressure that can also mm, so some political individuals disagree the proposal or the reform of Mr. Thomas Osborne. So that for that action, some of his his proposal will not totally implemented. So next slide. So during the after Thomas Osborne, Edward Edward Lewis in 1920 to 1941, he 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 is also the next warden. So more reforms were institutes institute puso birds instituted under Lewis, Edward Lewis, who served as a warden from 1920 to 1941. He was notably improved the living condition within the prison and allowed inmates to participate sports. So the under the supervision of Edward, the institution will change, or the facilities will improve, and some of our prisoners or some of our inmates will develop and will involve in terms of sports. So next slide. So this also the picture of the taken in Sing Sing prison. So that's all of that's all of the first video. So let's continue after. So, before I forgot, so this picture will be taken. This picture is will be taken inside the Sing Sing prison, and the guy standing in front is Mr. Osborne, the Thomas Mott Osborne. So this picture represent the improvement, or the improvement in the facilities inside the Sing Sing prison. So that would be all of my report, and thank you. Pinutan na.